Every 3 minutes, another senior unknowingly consumes a canned peach, and this silent killer is claiming their lives slowly but surely. It seems harmless, a quick and convenient fruit to start the day. But beneath its bright, appealing exterior lies a hidden danger that lurks in almost every can of peaches found on supermarket shelves. The real horror is that most seniors have no idea this common food could be the first step toward their demise. They believe they are making a healthy choice, thinking canned peaches are just fruit, packed with vitamins and natural sugars. However, what they fail to see are the insidious additives lurking inside. These cans are filled with excessive amounts of added sugars, often exceeding 20 grams per serving, equivalent to packing almost 5 teaspoons of sugar into a single small cup. Many cans also contain preservatives like sodium benzoate and artificial flavorings, which over time contribute to chronic inflammation. When seniors consume canned peaches daily, believing they are doing something beneficial, they are unknowingly feeding this dangerous cycle. Over the course of weeks and months, this high sugar intake begins to damage their blood vessels. Insulin spikes become frequent, and the immune system responds with inflammation, causing the blood vessel linings to become irritated and swollen. These early signs are subtle: occasional fatigue, minor brain fog, or fleeting chest discomfort that many dismiss as aging. But the damaged blood vessels are quietly deteriorating, becoming less flexible and more prone to plaque accumulation. Inflammation begins to harden the arteries, narrowing the pathways that essential blood flow must traverse. This process is insidious. It often progresses without any noticeable symptoms until it reaches a tipping point where blood flow is critically obstructed. At that stage, the first warning signs can be a sudden dizzy spell, a brief loss of strength, or chest tightness that rapidly escalates. The damage becomes irreversible when plaque buildup reaches critical levels, increasing the risk of a heart attack or stroke that can strike without warning. This danger is worsened by the fact that most seniors continue to indulge in these canned peaches, unaware that their daily indulgence is setting a deadly trap. They are oblivious to how the high fructose corn syrup and preservatives within these cans are fueling an inflammatory response that weakens their arteries night after night. It is vital to understand that even if a senior switches to natural, unsweetened fruits, the damage to their arteries is not necessarily reversible, but halting consumption of processed, sugary canned fruits can prevent further deterioration. Cutting out canned peaches entirely and replacing them with fresh berries or sliced apples, preferably consumed within 30 minutes of purchase, can significantly reduce sugar intake. Opt for 1 cup of fresh berries or apples daily, avoiding added sugars, and consider washing and chopping the fruit immediately upon bringing it home, storing it in the refrigerator at all times. Fresh produce provides antioxidants and natural fiber that actively work against inflammation, helping to protect the delicate blood vessel linings. If seniors adopt this simple change, using fresh fruits instead of canned peaches, they will be taking a crucial step toward safeguarding their arteries from irreversible damage. This small adjustment, combined with reading labels carefully, will drastically cut down their exposure to harmful sugars and preservatives, giving their blood vessels a chance to recover and strengthening their cardiovascular health over time. One elderly patient had always believed she was relatively healthy, maintaining a routine of eating canned peaches every morning, thinking she was providing her body with natural vitamins. She felt good, energetic, and careless about the small warnings her body sometimes sent her: occasional fatigue, brief dizziness, or a fleeting tightness in her chest. But one morning everything changed abruptly. She woke up unable to speak clearly, her face distorted and her limbs trembling uncontrollably. Her world turned dark with fear as she realized she was experiencing a stroke, and there was no warning sign she noticed beforehand. This sudden paralysis shook her family and her medical team. What seemed like a minor annoyance or aging symptom had transformed into a life-altering crisis that nobody anticipated. The terrifying truth is that the warning signs were hiding in plain sight, masked by normal aging or overconfidence. When she arrived at the hospital, doctors quickly ordered advanced medical scans to determine the cause. The images revealed a horrifying reality. Her arteries were dangerously clogged with plaque, a thick, hardened buildup of fatty deposits that had silently accumulated over years of her regular diet. The scans showed her carotid arteries and coronary vessels contained almost 50% more plaque than normal for her age. The doctors explained that this thickening severely restricted blood flow, setting the stage for a catastrophic event at any moment. Years of consuming sugar-loaded canned peaches had set off a slow, deadly process. The high fructose corn syrup and preservatives had repeatedly spiked her insulin levels, resulting in chronic inflammation that gradually damaged her arterial walls. The immune system's response caused tiny tears and irritation in her blood vessels, leading to foam cells and fatty deposits that accumulated silently over time. The process had reached a point where her arteries were not just moderately narrowed but dangerously constricted. When the plaque buildup exceeds 70% of arterial diameter, the risk of complete blockage skyrockets, making even minor physical exertion or emotional stress enough to induce a heart attack or stroke. Her case was a grim reminder that this was no longer a distant threat but an imminent danger. Her arteries had been living on borrowed time, with the silent threat steadily approaching a critical threshold. The doctors revealed that her arteries, which should have been open wide enough to allow smooth blood flow, had narrowed by over 70%. That meant her risk of fatal events in the next few months was exponentially higher. She could suffer a severe heart attack or a deadly stroke at any moment without warning. This realization brought her dangerously close to the edge of life and death, emphasizing that the damage was done, not just to her body, but to her future stability. The cumulative effect of years of eating those sugary, preservative-laden canned peaches had transformed her once manageable health into a ticking time bomb. Her story underscores a harrowing truth. What appears innocuous and routine can, over time, become a scene of near catastrophe. Each mouthful of sugar-loaded fruit played a role in this slow betrayal, reducing her arteries to a narrow, fragile passage prone to complete occlusion. The window of opportunity to reverse or halt this process is narrowing, and without understanding the dangers within everyday foods, many more are living on the brink of disaster. The only salvation from such a critical state is to recognize these silent killers early, cutting out processed, sugary fruits and replacing them with fresh, unsweetened options, such as a half cup of sliced strawberries or an apple. Within 30 minutes of purchase can drastically reduce ongoing damage. Maintaining a daily intake of at least 1 cup of fresh berries or apples, washed thoroughly and sliced immediately, ensures natural fiber and antioxidants can actively combat inflammation and slow further plaque formation. This small but powerful adjustment could be the difference between life and death, giving blood vessels a fighting chance to recover some elasticity and preventing total occlusion. More importantly, regular health monitoring with blood pressure and blood sugar levels kept below 130/80 millimeters of mercury and a fasting blood glucose under 90 milligrams per deciliter, respectively, can provide vital early warnings before irreversible damage occurs. Without these measures, the silent progress of arterial deterioration continues unnoticed until the moment of crisis hits with devastating impact. Autopsies on seniors who suddenly collapsed or died without warning reveal a disturbing and eerily consistent pattern of extensive arterial blockages that had developed silently over years of dietary choices. Pathologists have uncovered that these fatalities are not random accidents, but the tragic culmination of ongoing, unseen damage caused by the daily consumption of highly processed, sugar-rich canned fruits, particularly those loaded with sweeteners and preservatives. In many cases, the arteries were clogged with fatty plaque deposits exceeding 70% of the blood vessel's diameter, a threshold at which blood flow becomes critically compromised. Yet these blockages had often reached this deadly point long before any outward signs appeared. Most of these seniors had no idea their arteries were under siege. This makes the gruesome discoveries all the more heartbreaking because it shows how the danger was hiding in plain sight, masked by an illusion of normalcy and routine. The damage had been building gradually over years, almost undetectable to the individual, until it culminated in catastrophic events. The autopsy reports indicated that the arterial walls had been thickened, hardened, and riddled with foam cells and fatty deposits, all resulting from chronic inflammation triggered by excessive sugar, particularly refined fructose from canned peaches and similar processed fruits. These substances cause insulin spikes that set off immune responses, damaging and weakening blood vessel linings, which become more prone to tears and micro-injuries. Over time, these tiny injuries become the foundation for fatty deposits that slowly occlude the arteries, reducing their elasticity and capacity to supply vital blood to the heart and brain. Ignoring early warning signs such as brain fog, persistent fatigue, minor chest discomfort, or episodes of dizziness often means accepting the inevitable. When these symptoms are dismissed as aging or minor annoyances, the unspoken reality is that irreversible arterial damage has been quietly progressing during the years. It is tragic how many seniors, convinced they are healthy, brush aside these minor issues until suddenly, one day, a clot or a critical blockage triggers a fatal heart attack or stroke. The danger of ignoring these early signals lies in the fact that once arterial narrowing exceeds a certain point, reversing the damage becomes nearly impossible. The only real defense at this stage is immediate and decisive action focused on prevention. Switching from canned and processed fruits loaded with added sugars and preservatives to fresh, unsweetened options can make all the difference. For example, replacing canned peaches with 1/2 cup of fresh, rinsed strawberries, or sliced apples within half an hour of purchasing drastically cuts sugar intake. Consuming at least 1 cup of fresh berries or apples every day, prepared by washing thoroughly and slicing into manageable pieces, ensures the intake of natural antioxidants and dietary fiber designed to combat inflammation. Store the prepared fruit in a clean container in the refrigerator at a temperature of 40 degrees Fahrenheit or lower to inhibit spoilage and maximize nutrient preservation. Such simple small adjustments can help slow or halt plaque buildup, maintaining arteries' flexibility and preventing full occlusion. Regularly monitoring blood pressure and blood glucose levels, keeping readings below 130/80 millimeters of mercury and fasting blood glucose under 90 milligrams per deciliter, can serve as early warning indicators for vascular health. These effective, measurable steps provide seniors a fighting chance to control or limit ongoing arterial damage, safeguarding their future health. In the end, choosing fresh, natural fruits over processed canned options is the critical step towards stopping this silent killer before it claims another life. The message is clear. Take proactive, measurable action today. Your blood vessels cannot wait, because once the damage is done, reversing it may no longer be possible.